I finally got my license. Here is why it matters. Hey kitties and kitten lovers, I'm Akushi, and today I'd like to talk about my experience with going to driving school and getting my license. No furry related topic today, I'm sorry. Also quick content warning, this video contains mentions of alcohol abuse, so if you're sensitive to that topic, please don't watch the video or at least proceed with caution. Let's get started. I think the best way to start this is by saying that I didn't want to go. I was pretty sure I could do it, but I was afraid of driving in itself. I was scared of all the responsibility that comes with handling a car. I was unsure whether or not learning all these rules and all the multitasking that comes with driving a car would be too overwhelming for me. So why did I go? Well, my parents kind of forced me to, because they told me if I waited much longer, they wouldn't pay for it anymore. So I got kind of pressured into going, even though I didn't feel ready, to the point that I started crying even thinking about the whole thing. But I complied, so I started looking for driving schools in my area. Like, I have one right around the corner here, but I wanted to make sure to pick one there where they wouldn't be too harsh on me, because I've heard of some bad experiences from others. You know, I was already sure that driving in itself would be traumatic, so at least the teachers shouldn't add to that trauma. So then I found a driving school for wimps in my city. Yes, they exist, and yes, they call themselves that, and I applied. They took me, and this is how my journey started in summer of 2020. The theoretical lessons were the easy part. They were fairly entertaining compared to normal boring school lessons. They used a program and an app as their educational material. We practiced some situations with little toy cars, and we had a workbook with some activity pages that we had to fill in. I passed the theoretical test first try with a fair score. You know, I'm good at memorizing stuff, so this wasn't a challenge for me. It's hard for me to make quick decisions and react to new situations. And this is how we come to the meat of this video, my practical lessons and the driving test. I may need to add some general information here for you to properly understand the whole situation. I started driving school when I was 19 and I got my license when I was 21. It took me over a year and a half altogether due to COVID restrictions, my teacher getting sick or being on vacation, and me failing 5 driving tests before I finally did it on the 6th try. And to any Americans who may be watching, no, it's not uncommon to get your license that late here in Germany, because the earliest you can even apply for theoretical lessons is when you're 16, and only if you're turning 17 before your driving test. And even then, you're only allowed to drive with another adult who has a license until you're 18. Also, Germany has one of the hardest to get and most expensive licenses in the world. And we have fairly good public transit, at least in cities, so you don't necessarily need a license here. But back to topic. The first few lessons were alright. My teacher was very great and gentle all the time, and we didn't even start by handling the car. We started by learning about the car, you know, opening the hood, learning all the pieces in there, learning what these little indicator lamps mean and how the light controls work and so on. Then I learned how to start and stop the car on a manual, of course, how the pedals work and how to steer. No big deal really, it was easier than I thought, and as I said, my teacher was very patient with me. But after all of this was done, the harder lessons started, and this was also the point where everything started to go kind of downhill for me. Now I slowly had to do everything by myself, switching the gears, steering, watching the traffic, and so on and so on. And for the first few lessons it went horribly wrong. I got overwhelmed way too quickly all the time, and I couldn't count all the times I started crying because of panic or fear of failure. One time it was so bad that we had to pull over to the side of the road and take a break until I calmed down enough because I was just sobbing. You know, handling this big piece of moving metal while watching the other drivers and the signs and all that is a big deal to some people, even though the more experienced drivers may have forgotten about that. It's not an easy thing to do, and if you struggle with driving school at this moment, please know that it's okay. Not everyone has a talent for driving, and you will be able to do it eventually. I believe in you. Hang in there. If I could do it, you can do it, and believe me, some days I started shaking just when sitting down on the driver's seat. Wasn't pretty at all. After I got through all that scary stuff, everything became a lot easier again for me. Lessons even started to be kind of fun, to be honest. I could chat with my teacher a little, I could admire the landscapes on some of the longer trips, and I even lost some of my driving anxiety. At this point I didn't drive manual anymore. I had 3 different cars while being in driving school altogether. So we started getting ready for my first driving test, and yeah, what can I say? I failed. I misjudged the situation. My teacher had to react, and yeah, like this, the test was over. I was kind of bummed out because I had already parallel parked and was pretty close to passing at this time. And it would have been so cool to pass first time because everyone around me failed at least once. But yeah, I failed, no big deal. I tried again. And again. And again. And with every try, my patience got lower and my mental health got worse and worse. I felt like the biggest failure, I felt like a disappointment. I hated the way that my parents had to pay the fees over and over again, even though they knew what they signed up for, pressuring me to go in the first place. I went from not crying at all after the failed test to crying as soon as the examiner left to crying right when they told me that I failed. I was a wreck, honestly, and I just wanted all of this to be over so that I could sleep peacefully again. Words like car, driving, and traffic would start to trigger horrible memories and trauma to the point where I felt miserable even sitting in a back seat. I didn't want to be in cars at all anymore. And yeah, I actually started drinking because of my mental health. I just wanted to feel nothing at all for a little, and taking naps to be unconscious for a short while stopped working for me. I never drank alcohol before, and I don't do anymore since all of this is over, but driving school really pushed me over the edge and I didn't know any other solution at the time. But please, if you're in a situation like this, don't do anything like that. Substance abuse is never a good idea and really doesn't solve anything. But I kept pushing, I kept trying, primarily because I didn't want the money we already spent to go to waste. And what can I say? After 5 failed attempts, I finally passed on the 9th of December 2021. My living hell came to a halt, and I rarely ever felt so free in my life. I even got my grandpa's car, so theoretically I can go wherever I want. It's a new kind of freedom, yes, but I'm still not entirely sure whether or not it was worth all the struggle. For the most part, I'm just happy that it's all over. I still don't like driving and I avoid it whenever possible. So let me say this. I wouldn't recommend going to driving school if you don't feel ready or don't have a reason to. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful to have my license now and that I didn't have to pay for it myself, but I still think that it shouldn't have gone this way. And dear parents, please don't pressure your kids into going to driving school if they don't want to. It really does more harm than good. Let them be, let them decide for themselves, and when they feel ready, support them the best you can. Just because driving became second nature to you doesn't mean it's easy or it's no big deal. It is, and it can be very stressful to young or unexperienced people. Phew, this was quite the video. I'm sorry this turned into kind of a rant, but I really had to get that one off my chest. And sorry for the long wait, I just couldn't think of any other video to do before this one would be finished. And as you heard, the delay was only partially my fault. I wanted this one to be my next YouTube video, and even I didn't expect it to take me that long. Sorry for that. I'll try to upload more frequently again. I'm currently aiming for one video every month. Quick shameless plug at the end here. Since my last video, my Etsy shop evolved a lot, and just look at all these beautiful new products. I would love for you to check it out, and maybe you even want to add my shop to your favorites, or even buy something. It would mean the world to me. Now I guess all that's left to say is thank you so much for watching. Please leave me your experiences, opinions and questions in the comments. I would love to read them. And I'll see you next time. Love you. Bye. I got overwhelmed way too quickly. Hey kitties and kitten lovers, I'm Akushi.